Chapter 16, Section 5, Absolute Monarchy in Russia, how did Peter the Great and Catherine the Great strengthen Russia and expand its territory. By the end of the chapter, how Peter the Great tried to make Russia into a modern state, identify steps Peter took to expand Russia's borders, and then how Catherine the Great continued to strengthen Russia. So if we look at Peter the Great, when he was a little kid, he liked to hang out in Moscow. And while he was in Moscow, he ran into a lot of people from other countries. And one of the things that he found out through that fascination with things that are foreign is that Russia was extremely backwards. He was listening to all these great things that the Germans and the English and whatever had been doing, and he realized he didn't see any of those things in Russia. So at a really young age, he heads out west and to learn from Western ways. And so he travels throughout Western Europe, and he learns how to do lots of different things. He learns how to pull teeth, he learns how to make ships. He observed a doctor for a while, and he'd really hang out in these places and actually do the work. So, for example, when he went and visited with a dentist, he would work alongside the dentist and learn how to do it. So not only did he learn these Western ways and bring them back to Russia, he brought back Westerners with him to help him modernize the Russian Empire. And when you look at it, some of the things that he needs to try and do is control the church and the nobles, the two most powerful institutions in Russia. And he really has three main goals. One is to build up the military and to expand the borders, especially to get a warm water port, and then to also centralize his power and his control. And with the controlling the church and the nobles, that's part of centralizing it. And so he's going to do a number of different things to try and make that happen. So he's going to build a big, huge navy because he's going to use that navy then to expand the Soviet Union, or Russia, I'm sorry. And the other thing that he's going to do is by getting rid of all these old Russian ways of doing things. So, for example, the boyars would wear these really long beards, and the boyars were the nobles. And so what Peter the Great did is he would cut these beards off, pass the law, you have to cut them all off. You can no longer dress in the robes of the old days. You need to dress like Westerners. And so he is going to modernize these things by force, and that's how he's going to centralize his power. For expanding the borders, again, you can kind of see the area added by Peter the Great is in purple. And really what he wants is, the thing he really wants is access to the Black Sea, because that will give him access to warm water ports, and that will give him direct access to the Mediterranean. But what he has to settle for is, in the Great Northern War, is to get access to the Baltic Sea. And so he goes to war against Sweden. It goes pretty rough for him, but after he modernizes his army in like 1709, 1710, then what happens is he's able to defeat the Swedes, and this is where he decides to build St. Petersburg, is in the swamps along the Baltic. And so from here, he has a window, he says, to the west, where he can sail up the Baltic and then get to Great Britain or wherever it is that he may want to go. And this new capital comes at an extremely high cost because thousands of peasants died building St. Petersburg. But in the end, he is able to get, and here you see St. Petersburg right here, he's able to gain this territory. He gets his warm water port, and from there, again, he brings in Westerners, especially from Italy, and they come in and they help him build this capital that's modern and Western looking. So blazing the trails to the Pacific, he's looking to possibly expand. He signs a treaty with China, which gives him that access to that land that we saw in the Pacific. He also sends Bering to explore what is going to become the Bering Strait. He claims land in Alaska and also in Northern California. So Russia is expanding into the Americas. They never really capitalize on that. They never get a lot of people to move in there. But later on in the 1860s, the United States is going to purchase Alaska from Russia. So they held on to it for quite a while. When you look at Peter the Great's legacy, there's a bit of a mixed bag. And so this goes through some of the mixed legacy here. He does expand Russia. He does build a big army. But when you really look at a lot of the reforms and a lot of things that he changed, they really died with him. So it was not permanent changes, I guess. So when we look at Catherine the Great and her rise to power, Peter the Great dies without an heir, and part of it is because there's an uprising, and his son led the uprising, and so Peter the Great killed all 1,000 soldiers as well as his son to put the uprising down. So Catherine the Great ends up marrying Tsar Peter III, who is mentally unstable or insane. It depends on what you look at it, but he's definitely not equipped to be the ruler. Pretty early on, she works to gain the support of the military. When Peter III becomes Tsar or Emperor, she's able to have him deposed thanks to the strong support of her military. When you look at her as a leader, she's very efficient, she's very energetic. She's considered to be an enlightened ruler because she has correspondences with French Enlightenment thinkers like Diderot, and she's going to continue to expand and westernize Russia. And again, what she does with the boyars is she passes laws that allow the boyars to keep their land so that she is on their side. That really causes the peasants to suffer even more greatly. She's able to get the Black Sea port that Peter the Great had always dreamed of, and she expands Russia, and she is part of the partition of Poland. So Russia, Prussia, Austria, through a series of partitions, end up eventually causing Poland to cease to exist until after World War I in 1919.